Saul is anointed king. The morning sun rose softly over the hills of Gibeah, casting a golden glow upon the land. Israel was in a season of transition, longing for change, restless with the desire to be like the nations around them. The elders had already come to Samuel, the prophet of the Lord, demanding a king to rule over them. Samuel's heart had been heavy, but God had granted their request. Now the time had come for the Lord to reveal the man who would wear the crown of Israel. In the small town of Gibeah lived a man named Kish, a wealthy and respected Benjamite. He was strong and influential, but it was his son Saul who would soon draw the eyes of the nation. Saul stood head and shoulders taller than any other man in Israel. His appearance was striking, his presence commanding, yet within him dwelled a humble and uncertain spirit. He had no ambition for greatness, no thought of ruling over tribes and armies. One day Kish's donkeys wandered away, and Kish said to Saul, "Take one of the servants with you and go look for the donkeys." Saul obeyed without complaint, unaware that this simple task would lead him into the destiny God had chosen. Together with his servant, Saul searched the hill country of Ephraim, the land of Shalishah, the land of Shalim, and the territory of Benjamin, but the donkeys were nowhere to be found. After days of searching, Saul grew weary and discouraged. He turned to his servant and said, "Let us go back, or my father will stop worrying about the donkeys and start worrying about us." But the servant replied, "Wait. In this town there is a man of God. He is highly respected, and everything he says comes true. Let us go there now. Perhaps he can tell us which way to take." Saul hesitated, for he carried no gift to present to the man of God. But the servant produced a small piece of silver and said, "I have this to give him. Let us go." And so, with reluctant steps, Saul agreed. As they entered the town, they met young women coming out to draw water, and they asked, "Is the seer here?" The women smiled and replied, "Yes, he is ahead of you. Hurry now, for he has just come into the town today because the people are offering a sacrifice at the high place." Meanwhile, Samuel had received a word from the Lord the day before. "Tomorrow about this time I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. You shall anoint him to be prince over my people Israel. He shall save my people from the hand of the Philistines, for I have seen the suffering of my people, because their cry has come to me." So when Samuel saw Saul approaching, the Lord said, "Here is the man of whom I spoke to you. He it is who shall govern my people." Unaware of the divine plan, Saul walked up to Samuel and asked politely, "Please tell me, where is the house of the seer?" Samuel looked upon him with knowing eyes and said, "I am the seer. Go up before me to the high place, for today you shall eat with me. And in the morning I will let you go and tell you all that is in your heart. As for the donkeys that were lost 3 days ago, do not set your mind on them, for they have been found. And for whom is all that is desirable in Israel? Is it not for you and for all your father's house?" Saul was stunned. With humility he replied, "Am I not a Benjaminite from the least of the tribes of Israel? And is not my clan the humblest of all the clans of the tribe of Benjamin? Why then have you spoken to me in this way?" Samuel led Saul and his servant to the feast, giving them the place of honor among 30 guests. He instructed the cook to bring the special portion of meat that had been set aside, saying, "See, what was kept is set before you. Eat, because it was kept for you until the appointed time." Saul ate, confused but obedient, still unsure why so much honor was being shown to him. Afterward Samuel spoke with Saul on the roof, under the blanket of stars. His words were weighty, carrying divine purpose, though Saul still struggled to comprehend them fully. At dawn, Samuel called Saul to rise. As they walked together out of the town, Samuel instructed the servant to go on ahead. Then, alone with Saul, the prophet took a flask of oil, poured it on Saul's head, and kissed him, saying, "Has not the Lord anointed you to be prince over his inheritance?" The oil ran down Saul's head, consecrating him for the role God had chosen. Samuel gave him signs to confirm the calling. He would meet men by Rachel's tomb who would tell him the donkeys had been found. Then he would meet others who would give him bread. And finally, he would encounter a group of prophets, and the Spirit of the Lord would come upon him in power, and he would be changed into a different man. Just as Samuel had said, the signs came to pass. When Saul turned to leave Samuel, God gave him a new heart. As he approached the company of prophets, the Spirit of God rushed upon him, and he prophesied among them. Those who knew him were amazed, saying, "What has happened to the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets?" But even with the Spirit's power, Saul remained uncertain, reluctant to embrace the mantle of kingship. When he returned home, he did not boast of Samuel's words. He kept them hidden, perhaps fearing the weight of such a calling. Later, Samuel gathered all the tribes of Israel at Mizpah. With solemnity, he reminded them, "You have said to me, 'No, but a king shall reign over us,' when the Lord your God was your king. Now present yourselves before the Lord by tribes and by clans." The people assembled, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The tribe of Benjamin was chosen, then the clan of Matri, and finally Saul, son of Kish, was taken by lot. But when they sought him, he was nowhere to be found. In his fear and humility, Saul had hidden himself among the baggage. The people searched, and the Lord revealed his hiding place. They brought him out, and as he stood among the people, he was taller than any of them from his shoulders upward. Samuel declared, "Do you see him whom the Lord has chosen? There is none like him among all the people." Then the people shouted, "Long live the king!" The roar of the crowd filled the air, their long-awaited desire fulfilled. Israel now had a king, and his name was Saul. Samuel wrote down the rights and duties of kingship and laid them before the Lord. Then he sent the people away, each to their own home, while Saul returned to Gibeah, accompanied by men whose hearts God had touched. But some worthless men despised him, saying, "How can this man save us?" They scorned him and brought him no gifts, yet Saul held his peace. In this moment, the story of Israel turned a new page. The era of the judges had ended, and the monarchy had begun. Saul, the reluctant man from Benjamin, chosen not by ambition, but by divine appointment, stood as Israel's first king. Though his journey would be marked by victories and failures, obedience and disobedience, triumph and tragedy, Saul's anointing stood as a testimony to God's sovereignty. The people had demanded a king, and God, in his wisdom, gave them one. It was the beginning of a chapter that would lead to David and ultimately to the eternal King Jesus Christ, who reigns forever. Saul's story is one of calling and choice, of God's purpose interwoven with human frailty. It reminds us that God uses the unexpected, the humble, even the reluctant to accomplish his will. For though Saul's reign would one day falter, the anointing was real, and the hand of God was undeniable. The oil poured upon his head was not merely a symbol of leadership, but of divine appointment, showing that the true King of Israel remained the Lord himself. Saul's role was only a shadow of the greater reign to come, when God's true anointed would establish an everlasting kingdom of justice and peace. And so, beneath the rising sun of a new age, Saul stood as Israel's first king, chosen by God, anointed by the prophet, and hailed by the people. It was a moment of destiny, a step forward in the unfolding story of redemption that would reach its fulfillment in the true King of Kings.